When you live in a small town, everyone knows where you've been and what you have done. I've been trying to leave this old town since I...
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zada.
And I'm Kelly. And you're listening to
Two Sides and the Truth.
All right, everybody. So we have made a decision that we are going to start the summer saga because it takes us a long time to fill y'all in on all of the things that have been going on during the summer and then to actually get a topic in as well.
And there are topics in it.
Yeah. So we're just going to do a summer saga for the rest of the summer. That is what you're going to get. Now, you might get some extra stuff in there too, but that's just what we're calling this. All right, Summer Saga.
So this is Summer Saga 1.
Summer Saga 1.
Last week was like a precursor. It's a real. If you listen to last week's, that's what you can expect.
It introduces you into what's going to happen. Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Because it's just a lot of rabbit holes, and we tried to figure out how to do it a different way. And I was like, you know what? There's just not another way. It's just every one of these is a rabbit hole that led to the next.
Yeah.
So
never-ending rabbit hole.
It is. Yeah. It is the story of my life.
But
so Kelly, we're going to start with you because my rabbit hole is stupid big.
Yeah, yours is very large.
I got a lot going on right now, y'all.
It's okay. I love it. That's why you're here.
That's true. I'm never without
content. This would be
content.
a very short show if it wasn't for you.
If you have 4 children and a family of 100 cousins like I do, you're going to have some content.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I wanted to share is one of my reasons why Dante is too good for me. And I have millions of them, but this one is the most recent that has happened recently, and I really wanted to share it because, I went into the kitchen, and I was putting some stuff away and like getting rid of some stuff that has accumulated that we haven't used. And I saw a can of beans, and that's what made me wanted to share the story because it was a couple weeks ago, maybe like a week or two ago. Dante had asked me to go because I was going to the store. So he's like, he had gotten some meat and he wanted to grill, and he really loves these like grilling beans. He loves them. There's a specific flavor like brown sugar, bourbon, I don't know, something like that.
Dante, me too.
That's
mine too.
He loves the Bush's grilling beans.
Hell yeah.
And so he's like, hey, I'm wanting to cook out. I want to make, some stuff. Will you grab a can of the grilling beans? And I was like, yeah, sure. But I didn't write it down. So then when I went to the store, I was like, oh, I know he needed something. So I called him. I was like, what was it that he wanted? And he said some of the Bush's grilling beans. And he told me the flavor, told me everything again. And so I was in a rush and I just grabbed some. I did not grab the right kind. Oh, no. I got Bush's and they were like the flavor, but they weren't the grilling beans. I didn't think about it. It didn't cross my mind again. I like those, but I don't usually eat them anyway, so I didn't even think about it. Yeah. Okay. So he it wasn't till I think that weekend that he grilled out and we all ate and nothing happened. So then when I'm doing the pantry stuff or whatever, I see the can of beans that I bought that were not the right kind. And then there was also another can of beans that were the can of beans that he was talking about because we usually have a can. We just didn't have a can because, we were out. So both cans were up there. And I was like,
how'd that
oh
happen?
My God. And that is when it dawned on me
he sent someone to the store.
that I didn't get the right kind of beans. He never said anything to me about it. He never said, oh, babe, these aren't the right kind of beans. Or what I would have said, I would have been like, I was literally on the phone with you and told you exactly what to get and you didn't get the right kind. But he didn't say that. He never even told me that I got the wrong can of beans. He just went and got the kind that he wanted. And that to me hit me in the face. I was like, oh my gosh, not that I didn't already know that Dante was this amazing man and he's completely different than anybody else in this entire world. He is literally the easiest person to get along with. He will not make you feel bad about things. He will not rub things in your face, even to be playful. I mean, sometimes he's playful, but something like that, I would have been like, dude,
Yeah.
what are these beans? I didn't ask for these beans. I would have said something like that. But he didn't even bring it up to my attention.
I reckon I definitely would have rubbed it in each other's face. What is wrong with you?
It just, he didn't care. He didn't care. He appreciated the fact that I tried. I didn't get it right, so he went and got what he needed. And he didn't even bring it up to me. This is weeks ago now, and now those cans, I'm gonna have to give them to somebody because they're not gonna get eaten because they're not what he likes, and nobody else eats them. But I was like dumbfounded. I was like, that is. Yeah. So just, it's a very small thing, but it speaks volumes to the kind of man that he is and his character, because that's just how he is. Like, he is so easygoing, and he just loves me, and he's not going to give me a hard time he's not going to make me feel bad about something as silly as beans.
Are all his siblings like this? Are they all as laid back? And
I don't think there's anybody as laid back as Dante.
I mean, I was just curious if this had to do with his mom, like she just raised him right.
I guess. And his mom
temperament. I mean, you have a good temperament, or you don't.
Yeah, but, I mean, they're awesome. Everybody in his family that I've met are super awesome. Now they're all very different from him.
Yeah.
Nobody in his family has the same mannerisms as him, has the same mindset. Nobody's as chill as he. I've never met, but I've literally never met somebody that handles things the way that he does. He's too good for me, but I'm glad I snatched him up.
Yeah. Aw, we love Dante.
I know, right?
I mean, he's probably a serial killer.
I know, but whatever. At least it doesn't bother me.
It doesn't get in the way of your life,
right?
So no,
doesn't affect the way he treats me. So I'm okay with it.
Yes. For those listening, that's our ongoing joke that he's too good to be true.
Yeah,
so he's probably a serial killer.
He definitely is something.
He's got to be doing. I mean, there's something. He's like,
but honestly, I have to say, with 100%, like I'm not. I used to be, not that I used to be, but like I have been insecure in the past, and I've been with people before, and I've thought it was too good to be true, and it turned out it was. Like, I've been cheated on 90% of the time, and I've thought about, like, I don't even try. I don't even look for things with Dante. I don't look through his phone. I don't ask who he talks to. I don't like. I know he has a Facebook. I don't have a Facebook. I never ask to look at anything. I just don't care. I don't care, because I'm like, even if he is a serial killer, even if he is whatever, I don't care, because he treats me so good, and I'm so well taken care of, and he's so amazing to me and his kids. I don't care. Like, whatever it is, it can be, because as long as ship is still sailing smoothly, I don't even care.
Yeah.
I don't even care.
It's hard to find that.
It really is.
Where it's not like all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get a person that their moods can control the whole household.
They really can.
You know, we've all met him.
He's just so, oh man. So yeah, Dante's great. Just this
your
update for everybody.
All right.
That was
Dante
a silly little story, but I thought it really speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Honestly, it does. My only other thing that I've had a problem with lately, I always try to revamp my therapy in small ways, because I'm always on an ongoing therapy journey. I take my mental health very seriously. I have a lot of things that I deal with, so like I'm always trying to be proactive when it comes to my mental health. So I usually have like 6 months check-ins with my own therapy schedule on things that I can look at what I'm doing really well, things that I can challenge myself on, things that I'm not doing so well on, you know, and all of the above. And to simple little things too. Like, one can be like challenging myself to go out more, or challenging myself to, you know, step out of my comfort zone. I'm really bad with like people touching me. So one of the things that I've worked with in the past are actually giving people hugs. I've cut hugs completely out of my therapy to see if that helps. Like, I'm always doing different things to see what the outcome will be, if it's going to help me, if it's going to hinder me, because you never know. A little small tweak can go a long way. One of the things...
I just have to say, I do all this, only it's me stretching because I need it. My back hurts. But go ahead. I try all the things.
Right?
I try all and just one tweak can make a huge difference.
It really can.
But go ahead. Sorry, off subject. Just as I was listening to you, I was like, I'm doing all that too, but not mentally.
Yeah, it's physically.
It's physically. Yeah. Go ahead.
But it's true.
Yeah.
So one of the things that is a small change that I've made, but has been a huge battle with me it really has always been, is lotion. I was suggested to, because I have such a touch thing, like I hate being touched. I don't even like to touch myself. I don't like putting my hands on my knee. I I don't know what it is. I don't even like to. But so putting on lotion has always been on the top of my therapy regimen. When I get up, that's supposed to be the first thing I do. I'm supposed to put lotion all over my body because it's making me physically touch myself, and it's supposed to help mentally with preparing myself for the day and preparing to be touched, even, right, when I don't want to be touched or when it's off, it can throw me off. So, but it's been something that I've always struggled with, though. I hate putting lotion on myself. I don't like being wet. So when I get out of the shower.
I was going to ask you, is it also the feeling of lotion? Because I'm kind of weird about the feeling of lotion, too.
Yeah.
I have to have certain lotions. Some lotions I can't do.
Yeah. So I hate being wet. I hate taking showers. I like being in the shower, but once I get out of the shower and I'm wet, I hate that. I hate my hair being wet.
Right.
It's a whole thing. And you're actually supposed to put lotion on
while you're wet,
when you get out of the shower, while you're still wet. That, to me, that's my 13th reason why. Like, that's going to be what, like, I cannot combine already hating the fact that I'm wet and then mixing that with putting lotion all over my body. I flipped out.
I'll be honest, I have a texture issue with that too. I think that's kind of a common texture issue. And like, I'm the same thing with my hair being wet. I've got to immediately brush it.
I have to.
Immediately.
I can't sleep with wet hair. So like, and
I cannot. It's got to be brushed.
I can't sleep with wet hair. I have to dry it. So, and sometimes when I'm like, that's the last thing me and Dante come in from our walks, he takes a shower and then I take a shower and I'm so tired I want to go to bed, but I can't. I have to dry my hair. Right. And I really don't like using a lot of heat on my hair either. Like, I like to let it just air dry, but I can't. I just can't deal with it. So that's one of the things I'm struggling with right now is putting on lotion after I get out of the shower. That was the switch that my therapist made me do. I can't just put it on in the morning anymore. It has to be when I get out of the shower, when you're supposed to do it. I can't do it.
You might want to try different lotions because I have a thing. I do better with lotions that are thicker.
I don't.
And I was saying everybody's a little bit different, but only when I'm putting it on wet.
Really?
Yeah, because it makes it less thick. Whereas when I put on one that's not thick and I'm wet, then it kind of just smears right off.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like I didn't get any actual lotion. Mm-hmm. And if I'm going through this event, I need to be done with, I actually have some lotion on my body.
And then on top of that, like, you're really supposed to, like, shower when you're still wet, put your lotion on, and then you're supposed to put on oil on top of it, because that is what seals in the lotion. I know. I was like, heck no. If you're making me put lotion on when I'm still wet, we're not introducing oil into the mix. Not yet.
I mean, Rick might like that.
That's what you're supposed to do.
But then my sheets would be stained. I'd hate that.
That was another thing. She asked me. She was like, "Well, do you think that you would be okay with Dante doing it?" And I was like, no. I don't. I think that would actually make it worse. Like, I don't, because I've asked him, like, there's times when, like, if I'm wearing a dress or whatever and I want lotion on my back and I can't reach that spot in my back, and I hesitate asking him to do it because it's like, and he's the one person that I'm okay with touching me 99% of the time, but still, when it comes to him rubbing lotion on me, I'm like, no, absolutely not.
Now, see, I'm the opposite. I'm like, yes.
And I never let him, like, massage my back or anything. Every now and then I'll be like, oh, when you get that, I need him to scratch a spot in my back. But then as soon as I'm like, okay, stop. Right. Because he'll just sit there and, like, rub my back or something like that. And I'm like a cat. I can let him do it for, like, a few seconds, but then I'm like, stop touching me. Stop it.
Then next thing you know, you're hissing.
All right. Okay, that's all I got.
All right. Well, I have an ass load because I have been busy.
Starting off strong.
I'm gonna preface it. I'm gonna try and go in order because it's been 2 weeks and I've had a lot go on. I've been to San Saba for 3 weekends in a row. So I went.
You didn't take me.
I'm sorry. I went with Rick that first weekend. And then the next weekend, I have a cousin that is sick in San Saba. And so I wanted to go see him. And so my sister lives in Arlington, which is just 25 minutes from us here. And so my sister Tira comes down and we make a little road trip to go to San Saba. And we're going to stay in the cabin and go see my cousin. And then we really have no other plans. And these are the plans. And even with my cousin, I mean, he's not feeling great. So we were kind of like, hey, you tell us when it's a good time to see him. And if there is a good time to see him. If there's not, we'll hang back, you know. But, his wife did call and say, come at this time on this day. So that's what the plan was, and that's what we did. And we got to visit with him. And other than that, we just hung out together the entire weekend. I will say, the water pump at the cabin went out. It was fun.
Oh, no.
It was fine the weekend before when Rick and I were there. So it went out between the time we left on Sunday and Tira and I arrived on Friday. And so we had no water, which means we had no toilets. We had planned to cook, but it's hard to do dishes with no water. Mm-hmm. We had to pee outside the entire time.
Or roughing it.
Yes, and to use the toilet for any other things, you had to pour water into the back of the toilet to flush it, and we didn't have water. So we did go to town and buy a bunch of big water jugs, and we used every inch of the water that we brought. Mm-hmm. And so we did, we had to rough it a little bit. It was like we were camping, but in the cabin.
Yeah.
And had a great visit. Like, it's not every day as adults you get to spend the whole weekend just one-on-one time with your sister and uninterrupted completely, And so we had a really good visit with each other and caught up. And I found out that the house that I thought my mom lived in is the wrong house, because I was already in my 20s, my early 20s, and even my late teens, really. I think she moved into that house when I was 16, I think. And I had already moved out. And so I have been thinking it's the same house for like years. And my sister was like, no, it's this house. They just moved the school, which moved the road. So you're just thinking because it's at the end of this road, this is it. But no, it's 3 houses that way. I was like, oh, shit. Oh, yeah, that is the house. That is the house. So that was one of the things we discovered. The other thing was we invited my stepdad, Pete, over. And this is my mom's husband she was married to whenever she passed away 10 years ago. And they were married, I want to say 16 years before she died-ish, somewhere around there. For those counting, she was married 9 times. But there was like 3 that stuck around for a long time, and the rest they don't count, she said. So the only ones that count are the ones she had children with. So she only had children with 2.
That makes sense.
And then the last one.
I mean, not really, but
Nobody,
I got it.
Yeah, no one else counts.
I mean,
I don't.
When you have that many, I understand that being your, what you.
Hey, it's her story. She
Right?
can live it however she wants.
Exactly.
And so Pete's awesome, first off. My stepdad is an awesome guy. And so we call Pete and we're like, okay, hey, you want to come over and hang out with us, have dinner with us or something? He was like, yeah. So he comes over to the cabin. And Pete is just like a man of mystery. Did you meet Pete? Didn't you meet him at the house one time? We went to the cabin. We went to my mom's house that's a cabin and went swimming, right?
Yeah.
And, he's a good old boy. He wore his fancy overalls to my mom's funeral. And my mom wrote me a note that said, you make sure Kathy, my aunt, doesn't bully anyone into not letting him wear his overalls.
Right.
I bought these for him to wear my funeral. And I want to make sure he wears them.
I know he's set. He's taken care of.
Yes. And so, he's just a country boy.
I wish I had some fancy funeral overalls.
I know. He's adorable. And so he comes over and he visits with us, and he's really funny, and he's just very old school. He's like Rick. They get along like 2 peas in a pod. They act just alike, right? But what he'll do is he'll just randomly blurt out a story, and you'll be like, what the fuck did you just say? Repeat that? What did you just say? So Tira and him are talking, and we're all going back and forth, and it comes up this story, and he tells us this story. And he's like, yeah, okay, so, that was the year... I don't know what year it was, but this is what he says. Yeah, that was the year that, old so-and-so, he was world famous bull rider, so-and-so, and I were hanging out, and we were at this bar, and he said, hey, you know what I'm really in the mood for? I'm really in the mood for this one, restaurant. Let's go to it. And he was like, okay, let's go to it. He goes, all right, come to my plane. I got a plane. We're going to fly to it. It's in, Colorado. And he was like, what? And he goes, yeah, I want this food, this restaurant in Colorado, and we got to fly to it. I could have the state wrong, but I'm about 99% sure I'm right. And the only other place would be Ruidoso in New Mexico, but I'm pretty sure it's Colorado. And he says, yeah, let's go get it. And he was like, okay. He goes, but we're going to take these 2 girls with us. We're going to take these 2 girls with us, and we're going to go. And Pete doesn't know the girls. Well, it turns out the girls are prostitutes. So they get on the plane. Pete, the bull rider, and these 2 prostitutes, and they fly to this restaurant or wherever they're going, and they get to wherever they're going, and they run up this bill and can't pay it all, or something happens, they can't pay it all, and so they pay their portion and leave the prostitutes.
Oh, shit.
and they have to get themselves home.
Oh, my gosh. That's the worst.
It's so mean.
How rude.
And I'm like, what did you just say? He goes, yeah, you heard what I said. I was young and stupid. I was young and stupid.
You heard me, right?
I didn't know they were prostitutes. I wouldn't have invited them. He didn't tell me that. He's a world famous bull rider. I just thought it was some chicks that were into him, you know?
Right.
And I was just like, the shit that comes out of your mouth. Well, so then that reminded me of a story, and I don't know if I've ever told this story on here before, but I'm just going to do a quick version of it because it's a story of a story. But when my mom passed away, and I'm going through all my mom's things, and I'm organizing all her pictures because I'm like the only one that really knows who everyone in the pictures are. Because my sister, she missed the whole hippies era, you know, and my brother wanted no part of that work. So I'm going through them, and there's newspaper articles from different places for whatever reason she saved. So I would look through those to try to figure out if any of them were important, if we need to save any of them. And a few of Pete's things were mixed in, but for the most part, it was very organized because my mom was OCD organized. And in it, I find this newspaper article about this woman that was murdered. And it happened in, I want to say, Llano. And basically, this girl that was like the nanny had shot, I believe, stabbed the mom of the children she nannied for. And the children in court and the husband sided with the nanny, that the mom was a drunk and she attacked the nanny and the nanny defended herself and she stabbed her and killed her.
Wow.
Well, I asked Pete, why do you have this saved? It was like from the 60s. So I was like, why do you have this saved? Is this important? What is this? And he goes, well, did you read the article? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, there was like witness number 1. I said, yeah. He goes, that's me. I was on a date with her. He goes, I had dropped her off. And she told me she needed to run by the house because she lived with them. And she needed to run by the house and get something and talk to the woman and get her paycheck, I believe. And I was going to pick her up in an hour. So I dropped her off, came back in an hour, and there was a woman with a knife in her chest right in the front yard, and I was a witness to it. So,
oh my gosh,
I was like, what? I was like, you've been my stepdad like 15 years, and I did not know this. I was like, did mom know this? Oh yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Wow.
And he had another wife that tried to run him over. And, my mom shot at him.
This poor dude.
And I was like, damn, Pete. Oh, you have a type. And she's crazy. You have a type, and she's crazy. So absolutely crazy. And he just laughed. He goes, yeah, I'd say that's right. Yeah, that's about right. I do like him crazy.
He likes to feel alive.
And he has a longtime girlfriend right now. He's been dating this lady since my mom died, pretty much. Like right after my mom died, these men, they have to immediately date someone. And my mom actually told him, hey, I think so-and-so's a good catch when I died. Like,
oh, my gosh.
So she told people, she was mom approved.
Yeah.
And so, okay. So it was hard for us to get mad, I guess,
What are you going to do?
And, she was sick for so much of their marriage. At some point, you got to, be like, he has already been in the middle of this for a long time. Anyway, so he starts dating her, and they got engaged at one point. And I didn't see him for a long time because he was always with her and everything. And I mean, she didn't have a problem with us or anything. And, but then recently, when I saw him the other day, I said, so you getting married? And he was like, oh, no, we're not engaged anymore. I said, but you're still together? Yep. I said, but you're not engaged. And he was like, no, we're not getting married. I'm not doing that again. I was like, why? Because he'll try to kill you? And he was like, there's a good chance.
He learned his lesson.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's another.
When you like to live life on the edge like that, you got to know your limits.
You really do. So let me decide where to go next. Let me think about what was next. I'm gonna try to go in line with what I had going on next.
Okay.
What happened next? What was the next weekend? So that was the weekend with Tira. That was all cool. She didn't want to swim. That was really weird to me. So I went to San Sab in the middle of summer, and we did not swim. Now, would I have gotten down in the river? But I'll be honest with you, the water getting as high as they did washed away the steps. They're gone. They're completely gone.
Bye.
There's like 2. And so getting up and down it is a challenge right now. And
I bet.
I did get up and down it this weekend just fine. But the whole time I was going up and down, I was like knocking off in my head which ones of my friends could not do this. And it's about half.
Especially with any kind of alcohol in their system.
I thought the same thing. And,
They could probably do it sober. Definitely. I don't know.
Rick and I decided to do was go back. We had such a good time in Castile when we went there, a few weeks ago. So we decided this weekend to go back and make it our July 4th thing. And the only kid that could go with us was Zol. So we're currently having the year of Zol.
I love it.
It's his senior year. It is about giving him all the attention in the world. He's the youngest of 4. I was a single mom for much part of that time. I just feel like he doesn't get enough attention. So it's the years old. So the other day we had the day is old, and I went and got a senior pictures taken, which is cool. And we went to where he wanted to go eat, which was Razoo's. And
I love it.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorites.
he was so happy. He went to Target and got him some stuff.
Oh my gosh!
I know. I got him some.
I want a day.
Well, yeah, we got him some Crocs because we're going, to the river, and his feet have grown since last year. And so he's like, so we're having the years old. So he's going with us on this trip. We're going, and the night before, which is July 3rd, I'm off July 4th through Sunday. And on July 3rd, when I go to bed, throughout the day, my shoulder blade is hurting me, which you've heard me talking about ever since I fell off the porch. I've had a problem with this knot in my back. And it was really hurting. Like, it was really hurting. Like, it was unbearably hurting. And I was like, oh, my God, this is just insane. So only thing I really have for it is ibuprofen and an anti-inflammatory. And it was not doing the trick. And so I was just like, well, we're supposed to leave at like 7 in the morning the next day to go to San Saba. And we're packed. We're ready to go. Like, all we got to do is get up and go. And Zoe is working now, and I was going to pick her up from work at 10 o'clock. And so I'm waiting. Rick has gone to sleep, and I'm waiting to pick her up. And I'm doing things around the house, and I'm just like, God, it's just hurting worse and worse. And it's moving down my left arm into like close to my elbow. Like I can feel it all the way down there, like radiating. The front of my chest is radiating. The back of my chest is radiating. I'm feeling it like down my leg. Like I'm feeling it on my left side. So then I start thinking, am I having a stroke? Is this a blood pressure thing? Maybe this isn't a knot. Like, I don't know. So I'm like, I don't want to freak out. So I'm like Googling it, which is always bad for you.
Oh, yeah, you never do that.
And it said it could, it felt like it was in my heart, but they were like, it could be indigestion. It could be, whatchamacallit, acid reflux. I'm at the age, it could be any of these things.
Any of them.
Right? I don't really deal with those things normally, but I normally don't have pain throbbing down my arm either. So I'm like, okay. So I go pick up Zoe from work, and I'm like, hey, let's go by the drugstore and get stuff for acid reflux and stuff, just see if something happens. She's like, all right. So I stop, I get that. I come home, I do a few things trying to see if it kicks in, kind of keep I take my blood pressure because I have one for the kids. And it is 146 over 100, which is pretty effing high.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I bet my cuff is broken. Because we've had some cuff issues with the kids. So I'm thinking, that can't be right. That cannot be right, Well, as I do things, I'm like, so I decided I'm going to lay down for 30 minutes and just see how bad it is and if that ibuprofen and stuff kicks in. And so I can't lay down. Any position I'm in is extreme pain. I am crying. I cannot lay down. Like, there is not one way I can lay that doesn't feel like a knife is being stuck in me. I was like, I got to go to the ER. Like, I can't risk going, even if I made it through the night, I could not risk getting to San Saba where I'm not near a hospital and need to be in one.
Yeah.
So I was like, I better just get checked out, So I tell Rick, and he's asleep. Like, he's totally asleep. And I'm like, hey,
I need to go to the ER.
I think I'm going to go to the ER because of this spasm in my back.
By the way,
starting to think it's something else because my blood pressure's through the roof. He goes, nah, did you get on Google? Did you get on Google? Did you? I was like, yes, but my blood pressure really is high. I took it, He goes, do I need to get it? So he starts to get up like he's going to take me. I was like, no. If it's just a pulled muscle or something, we're not going to cancel the trip. Come on.
Yeah.
So you sleep because you're driving, and I'm going to have Zoe go with me, and we're going to be fine. Okay, so Zoe and I go. And we get there about 12:30 at night. And Zoe's like, oh, my God, there's so many people in here. It is July 3rd night.
Oh, yeah.
End of July 4th.
Yeah.
And so she's like, we're going to be waiting forever. I was like, nah, when I tell them I have chest pains, we're not. I don't think they're going to make us wait long, So I told them what was going on. I told them truthfully, I don't know if this is literally a pinched nerve or if I'm having a stroke. I don't know, but this is what I'm going on. So like, okay. So they like 3 minutes later, they bring me into the little room that normally they'll just take your blood pressure and then
your vitals basically.
Yeah, have you sign something, go wait in the waiting room, and then they'll call you after, in order. Well, I get in there, and they take my blood pressure, and it's 172 over 120.
Whoa.
The lady goes, no, this is wrong.
She's like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
We got a broken cuff.
Yeah, and she goes, what was it at home? And I had taken a picture of it at home, so
Yeah.
I showed her the picture, and she was like, oh, so it's higher now. I said, yes, I was thought my cuff was broken. And she was like, okay, let me get a different cuff. I think my cuff is broken.
Oh my God.
I was like, I hope your cuff is broken.
Yeah.
And Zoe's over there kind of freaking out because, she's a mama's girl. And so they go get another cuff thing and come in there and they do it again. Same. They get a third one. Same. They're like within one or two. And they're like, okay, we're doing EKG. They don't even let me leave that little room. They bring an EKG machine in and on the spot do an EKG. And my EKG is great. Absolutely great. They're like, your heart looks great. It's, you got, you got to, as far as the EKG is concerned. And they were like, but your blood pressure is through the fucking roof. And so is, we got to deal with this. Like, you're going to need to go to the doctor for this. You got to deal with this. They're like, but whatever this pain is going on is possibly making your blood pressure go up because it's so painful.
Yeah.
And you probably already have high blood pressure, and now it's making it higher.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so through the roof. And they were like, but this is not good, so you need to go to the doctor for that. And I was like, absolutely. So then they're like, all right. So they take me to a room, and they're like, this is what we're going to do. And they were going to run all these tests just to make sure. And then the doctor came in, and he was like, what do you think it is? I was like, well, if it's not a heart attack, which let's hope it's not a stroke or heart attack. He goes, I've ruled that out. That is not it. And I said, okay, well, then I told him how I fell off the porch. And every one of them looked at me like, how'd you fall off the porch? And I was like, I was sober. It was 4 a.m, and I was going to work. The light was out.
Couldn't see.
And I was like, so I told all about that. And I was like, and I didn't even hurt there when it initially happened. But over the course of a few weeks, it became like a knot in my back. And then it got to the point I feel it all the time. And it irritates me all the time. But sometimes it irritates me way more than other times it irritates me. And today it got really out of control. And now I hurt all over, not just there. Like, my whole side hurts. And so they were like, well, you could have broken a rib. It's possible, but it probably wouldn't have. It probably would have hurt immediately. Mm-hmm. So unless you re-injured it, like trying to deal with it, like it was kind of hurting, and then you rubbed it too hard or whatever. And he goes, "Let me do an X-ray." So they do an X-ray, not a broken rib. They're like, everything looks fine. They're like, so we think it's a. They're like, it's got to be a pinched nerve. The amount of pain you're in, it's got to be a pinched nerve. And they were like, it is very painful. And that particular nerve we were showing us is, it's going to shoot down your leg. It's going to shoot down your arm. It's going to shoot up your head. It's going to shoot everywhere. It's a very painful spot. So they put me on morphine. The morphine got rid of all the pain except for the pinched nerve. And they were like, that's how we know it's a pinched nerve.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because everything else was just a reaction to it. But the actual nerve being pinched, morphine didn't even touch. I could feel it just like I could.
Golly.
Before. So they're like, so you need a muscle relaxer. And so then they gave me a muscle relaxer, and I was like, oh my God, this is so much better. Oh my God. So much happier. And so then...
morphine and muscle relaxer.
Yep.
That's the cocktail.
And then I went home, and I went to sleep for 3 hours. And then we got up, and Rick was ready to cancel the trip once he woke up and found out what all was up. And I was like, no, we're not. We're not. The truck is packed. The food is packed. My clothes are packed. My beach bag is packed. We are going. And he was like, no, we're not. I was like, yes, we are going. I said, I had him send my prescription to San Saba. So we have to go.
Oh, dang, girl. Good job.
And so he was like, oh. And I was like, yeah, so we're going to San Saba. I am risking the pharmacy being closed on July 4th because it's a small town pharmacy. But I was willing to take the risk because I still had morphine and muscle relaxer in my system. So, and I was right. They were closed on July 4th. So we get there, and Rick spends the day on the pump. And so the water pump that went out, he is trying to fix it rather than have to replace it because it's pretty pricey to replace.
Yeah.
So when my sister and I were together and we were driving home, Rick being typical Rick, I called him and I'm telling him all the things that I did to try to figure out what was wrong with the pump. And my sister-in-law's boyfriend came over and he helped us. And my stepdad was there and he gave us his 2 cents. And then I played with all the knobs and everything. And I remembered the things my brother had shown me. And I did all the things my brother had shown me. And I did all the things. And Rick goes down the list of all the things, and I've done all the things. And the only thing that I hadn't done was, I had done, but like I just don't think, I couldn't find like the water thing where you turn your water on and off like the city would. I couldn't find it anywhere. And he just didn't think I looked for it, but I couldn't find it. So we get there, and I mean, he stops the truck at the very front of the property where the gate is because he thinks that's where it's going to be. And I just walk up. I can't sit anymore. So I walk to the house, and he's like, I'm going to find this, and I'll pull up. I was like, okay. He can't find it. He cannot find it. Nope. Couldn't find it. And all the other things that he had said I needed to try, and I guess he didn't believe I really tried. Everything was as I said. And so I think at that point he was like, okay, she really did try everything. So he tried everything. He went to the hardware store and bought stuff and tried to figure it out. He was being Mr. Man's man trying to save the day.
Yeah.
The pump is not going to work. Nothing was working. But the water coming from the river, everyone kept saying it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't use the pump. We don't understand why it's not coming up. And that's the water we used to water the yard.
Yeah.
And the water where she used to have the gourd garden. And, none of those are working either. So it's like, that doesn't make any sense. And he was like, it doesn't make any sense. And he's trying to figure it out. And he was like, the pump is done. It's not going to work. So he worked on it for a few hours while I napped. So we get up. We've decided we're going to have to buy a new pump. We have no water. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So we decide he decides he's going to go kayaking, and I'm going to go sit in the river. And Zol's going to take a nap. And because just the three of us. And so I go down there, and I put my chair in the water, and I have my drink with me, and I'm just chilling by myself because he's gone to kayak. And two guys show up on a boat. We never see people down there.
Yeah.
They just immediately turned around and left when they saw me. They were like, oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
So they
Turn
probably
around.
have trot lines down there. But it was weird to see somebody.
Yeah.
So I was just like chilling with nature and having a wonderful time. And, but as I'm sitting there, I look over to my left, and there is this big foam thing, if you recall.
Yeah.
And that is what we use to pump the water out to go up there. And it is a good 2 feet out of the water. And I'm like, I don't think the foam is supposed to be out of the water. I feel like it's supposed to be above the water. The water's been really high, so maybe it caught on something and didn't.
Oh, yeah. Didn't fall back
Yes,
down.
because the water has gone down quite a bit since we were just there the week before. So I'm thinking it got stuck, and that's why it worked the week before. And so I'm like, I wonder if Rick needs to knock that down some. And that's the problem, So what Rick comes back, and we go back upstairs to make dinner, and I'm like, hey, I noticed, I'd forgotten about it at that point. I was like, I noticed this foam thing. No, rah, 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 rah. It's like a cartoon character, y'all. And I'm like, I'm just saying, to me, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's always in the water.
Right. So he goes down there and kayaks again, and he pushes it down. And guess what? Now we have water. Not in the house, but in the yard. We have water. That was the problem. I solved the problem.
Dun, da, da, da.
So, I don't think I've even told my sister yet. She's going to be so excited because he was such a smart ass about it before. It was typical Rick.
Yeah.
So then we had water on the outside. So he was very sweet. And, I keep Epsom salt there usually. And we have that old school bathtub. And so he hooked up a hose and pulled his pump out of his truck and hooked it up so that he could pump water from the thing. He used the pump into my bath so I could take an Epsom salt bath. Nice. So that was nice.
Aww.
And so I did get a nice, even though we had no running water. And he made sure at all times there was water in the toilet so I could use the toilets.
Very nice.
So it was nice having him there, whereas Tira and I were peeing off the porch. We were.
Yeah.
Every time we would discover something else that we would have to do that was like a little harder because there was no water, she was like, we're Sherry Vaughn's daughters.
We can do this.
We can do this. Oh, and when she was there, I have never been to the cemetery more with anyone. I always go visit my mom at the cemetery, but my sister enjoys it just as much as I do. So, we took the lawn chairs, which I do on occasion, but we took the lawn chairs, but it was really sunny, so we were trying to sit in the shade, and the only shade is the shade off of Dorothy's massive fucking headstone.
That's so true.
So we have lawn chairs on my grandfather and my step grandmother's. And I was like, you built this for shade, clearly. You want your granddaughter shaded.
Yeah.
So I feel like,
course.
we're talking to mom, So we are definitely drunk at this point. And we are hanging out with our dead mom in the cemetery.
Yeah.
And we are having a great conversation. we are both hilarious, as you can imagine.
Oh, yes.
But also it's sad and it's a weird thing. And we're telling mom stories, and our versions of stories are slightly different, as you can imagine, because I'm looking at it as oftentimes I was a teenager or a young adult, or she was a little kid or a teenager herself when I was a young adult, because I was the older sister. So our views are different. You see things different as a kid than as you do as a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
And she knew stuff about mom I didn't know. I mean, I cut mom off like 4 times. I will cut you off. If you are toxic to me.
I'm going to tell you, I will cut people off so quick.
I will too.
You look at me the wrong way, I'm like, you're done for at least 6 to 9 months.
So at that point, we reconvene and decide if you have been, Well, Rick on the pump, after we came to the conclusion that it's going to have to be replaced, I was like, babe, we can't let Bonnie pay for this, because I'm the one that uses the fucking cabin all the time. I mean, we pay her, but still, I'm here, So we're paying half, and he's doing the work so that, Bonnie will, And so she was very relieved. That's so good. We will have a new pump. We will have a new pump. That's good. And it will be working. I didn't know. So
Girls Weekend is still on.
Girls Weekend is still on.
Okay, that's good. That's what I needed to know.
Yes. And so I just got to figure out the money. So, collect the money basically, and he's going to go buy it, and then he'll go and install it. So it's very helpful to have Mr. Man. Mr. Man. So that was the first day. So the second day, we decided to go to Castile, and we go to the same little beach. Nobody on there. July 4th weekend. It's crazy.
What?
Yes. And
that's crazy. I want to go now.
I know, it's awesome.
I want to go so bad.
It's such a fucking little awesome place. So I called my sister India, because I was with Tira last weekend. So this weekend, India lives in Austin, so she's like an hour and a half away from Castile. She said it took 2 hours, but I don't know. It would have taken me an hour and a half. And so, just saying. And anyway, so India brings her friend with her. That's a guy friend, and he's straight, but they're not dating. They're just friends. They're just friends.
They're friendly.
She's talked about him before. He's a nice guy, and so he shows up, but he's very Austin. He's just very Austin, but Austin like businessmen. Like they both work for a very professional company, and they got like real grown up jobs. Yeah. I don't exactly understand it.
No, me neither.
But there's acquisitions and location disputes. I don't know. So, but they're both kind of like Austin. So, you got a little hippie in you, even though you're business type thing. So India's coming, and she's bringing her friend Chris, and they get there. And, Rick is a man's man. Like, Rick is John Wayne.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not exaggerating.
No, you're not.
And he's a
super grumpy John Wayne.
He's an acquired taste, y'all. He's an acquired taste. The grumpiness is a facet. It
really is.
He's not really grumpy.
Yeah. If you can understand the grumpy, then it's more charming. But
it takes a lot to get through that point, because you want to kill him.
Yeah.
He's a dick. Anyway.
I mean, how long have we been friends? And I just now
started getting
kind of like him.
Yeah, I know. Touche. It's taken me years. And good thing he's pretty.
Right? Sometimes you just have to not listen at all and just look, and then you're good.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you saying? Really, though, I think it's funny because we're so opposite in so many ways, and we go back and forth and joke about it and everything, but he never asked me to change. Like, he never is like, that's stupid, you can't do that, you can't think that way. We disagree on a lot of things. He will fuck with me, like we'll joke, but he has never asked me to tone me down.
Yeah,
and,
that's good.
And I'm a lot. Like, I know I'm too much for most people. And I'm too much for him. I know that. I know he really has to try hard to understand me. He will look at me like, what?
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Why did you say that? And I'm like, why did you say that? You say crazy shit too. It's just different crazy shit.
Right?
The shit that comes... Anyways, that's a different rabbit hole.
Okay.
So Chris gets there with India. At this point, we've been there like an hour. And Rick is out. He had walked his pole. You can stand in most of where we are. Walked his pole out, and he's fishing. Mm-hmm. And you can see him, but he's pretty far, and he's out there fishing. And so they come up, and we're talking, and, we meet him, and Zoel's there and everything. And Chris is like, Rick says hi from a distance. And so everything's fine, And then Rick comes over, and he actually meets Rick. And this man is, I don't want to say he's feminine, because that's mean, but he's just city.
Yeah.
It's just different. He knows he's different than Rick. And so he meets Rick, and he's just mesmerized. He is just mesmerized by Rick. And he just zooms in on him, and he's over there, and he just wants to know all about Rick. And Rick does not talk. Rick does not want to be spoken to. When I told him India was bringing a friend, he had an anxiety attack, I swear. He was like, what? No, I didn't. I said about India. I was like, she can bring a friend, dude.
I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
I didn't mentally prepare for another person.
This guy zooms in on him and even tells him that he's going through a separation, and he kind of tears up in front of Rick.
Uh-oh.
And Rick's like, he kind of teared up on me. And I was like, what'd you do? I acted like I didn't see it. I don't even know what to do. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but that's not really me. And I was like, yeah, he doesn't understand. You don't know your own emotions. You can't deal with this.
Definitely cannot deal with that.
So Rick's like, okay, I'm going to grill or something, So he gets up and starts doing man stuff, grill stuff. And, he swam for a while, but then he'd do grill stuff. And so he kept himself busy. And then Chris is talking to us. And he's putting it back. He's having a good time. Chris is having a good time. All right. He's not driving. And so Chris starts asking me all these questions about Rick. And he was like, okay, I just never met a man quite tell me about, what does he do after work? Like, he gets home from work, and what does he do? And I was like, I don't know, he mows. And then he might whittle some leather shit. He made me a rock necklace. He's not going to sit down. He goes, when he does sit down, what does he watch? And I was like, he doesn't sit down. He lays down at the end of the night. And at the end of the night, if he wants to watch something, he'll watch something. But he doesn't ever sit down and watch TV. He lays down at the end of the night. And I was like, and he was like, but then what does he watch? I was like, Young Sheldon a lot, actually. Didn't see that coming, did you? I was like, he really likes Young Sheldon. And he was like, I'm mesmerized by Rick. He just seems so interesting. And I was like, what does he eat? What sides? And I was like, there are no sides. He eats meat.
It's meat.
He goes, but if he was going to make a side, I was like, potatoes.
What do you think?
I was like, but on Sundays, if he grills, he's going to make 2 or 3 meats. And if I don't make a side, there will not be a side.
You get a side of meat?
Yeah. You get the other side of meat. You get 2 sides of meat. And so he was just like, he just kept asking questions like that. He was like, his truck? It makes sense. Because he could see his truck.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so funny. And so then he found out we had a podcast, and he was like, okay, so if we were going to do a podcast right now, what would you talk about? I was like, I don't know, probably about this conversation.
Right.
He was like, what do you mean?
Definitely making it.
Yeah. And he was like, no. He wanted me to do a mini podcast. And I was
with him?
And I was like, this is literally what it is going to sound like.
Yeah.
This is, yeah. And we've been drinking.
Yeah.
And so
that makes it even better.
Zol's over there, and Zol's autistic. So Zol's over there, and he was like, I think you've been drinking too much. I think you're drunk. I'm like, shh.
You might want to consider some water.
Yeah, basically.
You need to start flushing out your system. You're probably getting dehydrated as well because we're in the sun.
Yeah. And then he wandered off, and he fell. He slipped on a rock. Bless his heart. He was fine.
Okay, that's good.
No one died. But he had a great time, and Indy had a great time. We all had a great time, and Rick found another rock to make me a necklace. So I wanted to show you my rocks. So I brought my rocks. I'll post them.
Yeah,
but this
we need to take pictures.
This is the one we found this weekend.
That's
which is
so cool.
What this one kind of looked like to begin with, which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he polished it. He put a Z on this one. I don't know if he's going to put anything on this one, but he told Zol he'd pay him if he found him any more like this, but we didn't find any more.
Oh
like this.
man,
and
that's
then
so cool.
I'm sitting here like, okay, you know I am about rocks. I am always looking at fucking rocks, right? And so when Friday when I was in the Colorado and I was looking for rocks. I just didn't find any good ones. And I was like, why are there no damn good rocks in the Colorado? And why can I never find an arrowhead? Why can't I find a fucking arrowhead? I'm starting to get mad about it because I started thinking about it when I was a kid. I always thought I found them, but I am 99% sure my mom was putting arrowheads down for me to find.
Right.
There's no way Zola and I were finding them that easy.
Right.
Like as an adult, I'm looking back thinking my mom.
Yeah, it was
that's
too
total
easy.
my mom because she would. I laughed at my sister when she was with me because I've told you this story before. I've told everybody these stories before, but growing up in San Saba, it's the hill country, and so there's those little cliffs off into the creeks and into the rivers. And so my mom, when I was a kid, we'd be camping or just outdoors. She'd be like, "Look over there, you can just see the Indians coming over the top of the cliff, and do you hear them? Do you hear them coming? Do you hear the feet stomping? Do you hear it coming? They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. The buffalo are going to come over the cliff. They're going to come over the cliff." Because the Indians would run the buffalo off the cliff, kill them in the water, and, process the meat right there in the cold water. They'd purposely run them into a natural spring because it was cold water, and it'd keep the meat longer to give them more work time. So that's why you find so many tools down there. Less arrows, more tools, because they were using it to process the buffalo. So my uncle, like maybe 10 years ago, he found like 12 of these big tools in one spot at the river buried. He was digging, he found a rock, he dug a little further, he found an arrowhead, he dug a little further, he realized somebody had buried them and planned to come back probably, and had them all together, and they never came back like an Indian did.
Yeah.
And so my mom would always tell these stories. So as we make this corner, my sister like just nailed it. We see a clip. She goes, "Do you hear it? Do you hear it? Do you see it?" Just like Mama. I was like, "Holy shit, man!" It's usually me telling the story.
Yeah.
It was really kind of cool to hear my sister and enjoy that time with her. Tira. So just to clarify for people, Tira is my mom's daughter. India is my dad's daughter. They're the same age. They're both younger than me, and I'm very close to both of them. But they are polar opposite of each other, but they love each other. They get along great, but they're not related to each other. And so, but my sister India will come into my mom's side of the family events because she's still my sister.
Yeah.
And so I'll invite her to San Saba or whatever. My family loves her. So we had a great time in Castile, and then we left. It rained on us. It was awesome as we stood in the rain, and it rained on us. Let's see. I need my glasses on. What else? I will say we got there, and we've had this ongoing issue where Zol is stealing all of Rick's socks. Have we discussed it before?
I don't know, but it's really funny because we're having the same problem. Dante is having the same sock heist problem. He never has any socks, and
yes,
because everybody steals the socks from him.
Well, so Rick, since he's moved in, has bought so many socks because Zol sucks at keeping up with them too. But Rick does not want to share socks with a teenage boy. That's disgusting, you know? And so they're
never the same after that.
And I have purposely buying any kind of sock that doesn't look like Rick's socks. So like black socks, out of the question. You have proven that you can't find your own black socks in a sea of black socks, so you don't get black socks. So now he gets gray or he gets white socks because Rick doesn't wear gray or white socks. Doesn't fucking matter. Every time I turn around, he's got on black socks. And so we get to the cabin, and Zol props up his feet on the couch in his black socks as Rick walks by. And I thought Rick was going to lose his mind. And I just do not understand why I have to repeatedly tell this child the same damn thing.
I'll tell you what, I bet the minds of teenagers baffle me.
Yeah.
They really
Rick
do.
point blank was like, "Listen, I will cut off the internet if you do it one more time." That is where I am.
Boom. That's what I'm talking about. Give them some consequences.
Yeah. So, and Rick will do it. That is not a threat. That will
that's
definitely Will Zol do it again? Yes,
Yeah,
he is going
of
to do
course.
it again.
Of
Yes,
course.
he's absolutely going to do it fucking again. And then
I'll
he's
tell
going to
you
be
what.
like, "I don't know why."
Baffles me. It baffles my mind. Teenagers. do.
I don't.
I walked through the house the other day. This is a funny thing. So we live in a really old house, and I love it, but it doesn't have central heating or air. So each room has a gas heater for the wintertime, and we have window units for each room. So, and all of them work really well, and like our room is always super cool.
I love window unit houses. Growing up, I lived in many of those houses. There's no better feeling than a good working window unit.
I'm not
love
kidding.
it.
And I love that, you can just cool the room that you're off in. Like, I like that. They always come into our rooms because they're like, "Oh, our room's the coolest." And I'm like, no, we just run it correctly because we keep when I'm in that room and I'm running, all the doors to that room are closed.
Right.
And all the blinds are closed. That keeps the room cool.
Yeah.
I'll come into the house and walk past their son's room, and he's in there with his window unit on, and both of the doors that go into his room are wide open.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is why your room is not cooling
Shades
off.
drawn.
You are cooling the rest of the
yeah.
house right now.
The hall.
But it does not matter how many times you tell him that
No.
or close the door. He is always going to keep those doors open and complain
Yes.
that his room is not cool.
This is parenthood.
And I'm like, and so it did happen the other day. I walked in and he's laying in there and both the doors open. I'm just like, just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. Go to your cool room. Because the door, but I'll come home sometimes And I'll walk in, and I don't turn on the air in our room until I get home. Obviously, I'm not going to run it while I'm not there. But I'll come in, and it's already on. And I know it's because he was in the room because he thinks that that's the coolest room. And I'm like, it's not. It's and that room that we're in is the biggest room and has the most windows.
Yeah.
But it stays so cool because we run it correctly. The doors are closed.
It's never going to get better, just FYI.
I just was like,
you feel better, though, getting
not
that
my
off your
circus,
chest.
not my monkeys. And actually it is, but I'm just not even going to worry about it.
You got to pick your battles.
I don't know. That's one of those things.
You know how the great, it's like, I will tell you, when he first moved in, it was also underwear, and that is where Rick drew the line, and that was.
I know. It is crazy the things that teenagers will take from you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't understand it. And first of all, I wouldn't care certain things if you asked me. But the quickest way to tick me off is to take something without telling me that you took
Right,
it.
yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you just ask? Like,
Yeah, my teenagers aren't too bad about that.
One
No,
of
they're not.
my favorite. I had a makeup bag, and it's pink and it's sparkly. And I had taken all my stuff out of it because I washed it. You know, because you got to wash them every now and then. I had washed it, and I didn't think about it, but I was like, and then I was walking through, and his daughter had her makeup in it, and I'm like, why wouldn't you just ask? Like,
Right.
I really don't care. It's just a makeup bag. I'm not gonna start a big deal about it. I'm not gonna do it. But like, why wouldn't you just ask? Like, hey, can I use this?
Teenagers.
Because obviously it's not yours.
Right,
Because you didn't buy it.
right.
And your dad didn't buy it for you. Like, it's obviously not yours. So the only other girl in the house is me. So obviously it's mine.
It's a
So
makeup
why
bag
wouldn't you just be
fairy.
like, hey, can I use this?
I will tell you, I am currently missing my smallest iron skillet. Like, it's the one I make like my biscuits in.
Oh.
I use this one, and Rick uses it for tortilla warming, and we use it a lot. We use it almost daily, okay? And it's just disappeared. It's just a whole skillet just walked out of this house. Now, how did a whole skillet walk?
I don't even
Somebody removed the skillet from the house.
obviously.
So they did something to the skillet, or didn't want to do something, like clean it somehow or something. And the skillet, I can't even think of anything we've cooked in the skillet that would have created a problem. But no, the skillet is missing. I've looked everywhere for that fucking skillet. We are also missing the cord to my crock pot. It's like a crock pot / pressure cooker thing. And it's a big one. And it's hard to replace this thing because it's so big. And I have torn this house up looking for that damn cord and always kept it in the same spot. Someone clearly threw the cord away, and nobody is admitting to either one of these things. I don't think the cord was on purpose. I think the cord was an accident because it was kind of clipped close to where the trash can is. But the skillet did not. It's a heavy iron skillet. It did not walk out of this house. Yeah. So. But I mean, I've had we went through a period where mugs disappeared. Zolt threw them all away. Don't even get me started on spoons and forks. Fuck these little fuckers. I stopped buying them and let them eat with knives for a while. Like, I was like, you know what? We just can't afford to replace these 3 times in 1 year. What is wrong with y'all? And it's not even always the same kid. So something that I noticed about myself this weekend. I've kind of thought about it in the past, but it hit me home more this weekend. My mom was a trip taker. She loved to take a trip, a weekend trip, just like I do. And so she would go to different places. So it might be Rio Dosa. It might be just to go see a rodeo somewhere. It might be, she went to Mexico a lot. And she would literally just take a little boat, pay a little guy on the side, and he'd take her over to Mexico. And, I mean, back then it wasn't uncommon. And you have this look on your face.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking.
And anyway, she would always do that. Or she'd come see me, or she'd go see her sister or somebody. But she always was meticulous about packing her bags. So she would have a bag for this and a bag for that and a bag for this. So she always had a bunch of cute little bags. She always had just different size types of bags. And I think that's kind of a woman thing. I think we all have a lot of little bitty bags, and we use these little bags different ways.
Lot, yeah.
Yeah. And so you and I are very similar in this, you know. And so I have a makeup bag, and I have 2. Well, I have 3. I have a caboodle, which I use if I just want to take like basic things because it's not very big. I have one that belonged to my mom, and it's just like one of those little fabric ones that you know, those cheap, the ones you used to see like at like, what's that Charlie place that used to be open? Charming Charlie's. I don't know where my mom got it. My mom's been dead 10 years, but she had it a good 10 years before she died. And it just got little red chili peppers all over it, and it just reminds me of her. And it's a makeup bag, you know, I mean, it's like a carrying case makeup bag. So I carry that one sometimes. And then sometimes I carry another one that I have that you know, that's like the luggage one with the tray that's like from the 70s. 70s, probably 60s.
Yeah.
And that's my main one that I carry. But then I'm going to have a bag. Like I have my bag for this weekend, and it's like the beach stuff, the stuff that I'm going to take down to the river. So it's got my sunscreen, it's got my speaker, it's got my cooler, like my little thing to hold my drink in it to keep it cold. It's got like my, basics of that, aloe, whatever. And then I'm going to have my bag for my clothes. And then I'm going to have my bag for either my shoes and my dirty clothes, or to take my dirty clothes home with me, and maybe some hats in there because I like to wear hats, And so as I'm packing, I always think to myself how my mom, it always makes me think of my mom and her packing, and me watching her pack for her weekends, or her getting to my home and all her bags, and me always just loving her bags. She always had great bags. And just how she always did that. And so when I got home this time and I was unpacking everything, and I'm putting, my bag away with my other bags, and I'm putting my shoes in my other shoes, and I'm putting, away my makeup and that kind of stuff. I'm just like, I have turned into my fucking mom, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like it makes me feel good that I got this little thing from her. Because there's a lot of girls that don't have moms, or they don't have moms that are present in their lives. And my mom had a lot of things that were negative about her, but I choose to look at the positives and to take from the negatives some life stories. And a lot of those trips weren't trips I liked, but I still love the bags.
Yeah.
And so as I'm unpacking the bags, I'm just thinking, my son's going to remember me with my bags that went on this trip with me. I don't know that he enjoyed the trip. I think he got bored, but he lived through it.
Oh, wow.
So while on the trip, we were going to stay another day. And actually, we were going to stay through Sunday. And today's Sunday, y'all. And we left on early morning, July 4th, right as I got back, 3 hours after I got back from the ER. On my assistant, like, we got to go now. Because I wanted to get there early enough to get the AC running so it wouldn't be a problem all day. And I wanted to have time to work on the pump. So, can't get the prescription filled, but feel fine, go sleep. The next day, feel great. Whatever they did was great. That muscle relaxer really did its trip. So it wasn't even worried I couldn't fill the prescription up, you know. So then the next day I told Rick, when we get up yesterday morning, I need to go to the pharmacy. They open at 9 a.m. and I'll get my medicine, and then we'll go after that. We're going to go back to Castile. We paid for 2 days. And we're going to take the kayaks this time and kayak it. But my shoulders started hurting before bed that night. And we did a lot of stuff. And so I had told him, I was like, if I get up in the middle of the night, it's my shoulder hurting, and I'm going to go lay on the couch or just try to figure it out. Well, it just got worse and worse. I did go to sleep, but after like 3 hours, I woke up and it was back to just extreme pain. It wasn't as bad as the other night. Like, I didn't have it shooting down my arm, but I can't lay or sit when I'm in that pain. And there is no comfortable position. And now you're tired. You want to go to sleep, but you can't lay down and you can't sit down. Yeah. Like, there is nothing to do. I'm trying everything. I go on YouTube. I do all these exercises. I'm like looking up this Asian guy that has subtitles that's showing you how to do it. Okay. Rick woke up in the morning. There's like a chair in front of the door. There's like all this weird shit. There's a towel wrapped around something. Like, I am trying everything in the cabin at night. And I'm up all night long in pain. And I'm still planning to go the next day, because we're on fucking vacation. Like, we're going to do something. So I'm just trying to get through it. And I am in tears again. I am just in pain. I have no medicine on me. I know I can get medicine the next day. So that's like what's keeping me through. So finally, I'm like trying to find a way to sleep. I did do a few exercises that I think helped me. I mean, I'm talking like 4.5 hours worth of stretches and stuff. And so and when I'm swimming, the whole time I'm doing stretches and doing all the things. I've been trying to work this out. Like, it's been a problem. And I get on the red couch, which I never lay on. And I get on the red couch, and the only way that I can sleep or find any kind of comfort is if I put my head all the way up against the arm of the red couch and tilt my head so that it's like pressed up against the side. So I'm trying to get it at a 90-degree angle from where it's supposed to be, basically. I'm trying to like bend my head off. That is the only way I can sleep. That is the only way to take the pressure off the nerve, is to contort my head into the worst way possible. So that is how I slept for about 2 hours. Well, I'm still waking up during that point, like on and off. If I hear anything, like I heard Rick get up to go to the bathroom, I'm hearing absolutely every noise, which is unusual for me. And as I'm laying there sleeping, I hear this noise directly above me, which would be the closet above us upstairs, you know, which we're scared of.
Yes, that's the danger room.
We don't go in there.
No.
And there's been evidence of creatures. We believe we've gotten rid of the creatures, being those little, what are they called?
Ringtails.
Ringtails. I don't believe there's any more ringtails in there. But I could see us getting mice like no one lives there. And I know we get mice. I see evidence of mice, because no one lives there. But they don't really come downstairs. I keep it pretty quarantined off. And honestly, when I go upstairs, I don't see a huge presence either. So I don't think there's like an infestation, But I hear the sound of either like acorns or like change, but if change without the metal sound. Okay, so like change or a large amount of acorns. Like if somebody spilled like their little bedside coin holder, like some people put their coins in like a bowl, and then when it fills up, they do something. Let's say there's 40 coins in there or 40 acorns. I don't know what it is. Hit the floor at one time. That is what I woke up to directly above me.
Somebody done lost their acorns.
I don't know if there was a creature up there or a ghost. I don't know. But I was not happy about that noise. And so I immediately got up. I'm like, fuck. I finally go to sleep, and either a ghost or a ringtail just woke me up. So I stand there listening and listening and listening for any other noises. I hear no other noises. I don't hear anything. And it was loud. Like, it was loud. And so I go back. I have to lay back on that couch because I don't, now I'm just going to cover myself, my head, hoping that the ghost doesn't kill me because there's a blanket over my head.
That's the way that you keep them off. I mean, everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that if you put the blanket over your head, you're safe.
Yeah.
Your feet too. You
Yeah.
have to cover your feet too.
You're safe. You're good.
So I felt like I was okay. So I did go back to sleep for 2 or 3 hours. But then when I woke up in the morning, Rick was awake first, and Rick was like, "We're not going to Catskill. We're getting your medicine and we're going home because you were up all night long. I could hear you all night long." And he was like, you're going to be miserable. You're going to make it worse. He was like, "Let's just go home." I was like, okay. So we pack up, we go into town to get to the pharmacy. And he was like, "Well, I didn't fill it because I didn't have any information on you because you're not a regular customer," which I kind of expected. And I said, "Well, how long will it take to fill it?" And he was like, "Well, I got it to my head of you, so it's going to take, I don't even know if we have everything, but if we do, it's going to take like 2 hours." And I was like, "You know what? Just send it to Waxahachie CVS and I'll get it there. And it'll be ready by the time I get there." So I'm not waiting around. Rick's not waiting around. And it was ready, like halfway there, I got a ding that it was ready.
Yeah.
And so we got to town. We didn't even go to the house. We went straight to CVS and got the medicine. And we came home, unloaded. I took my medicine and I went to bed and I slept. We got home early. Like we were home like by 11. And I slept almost the entire day. But I could sleep and I could lay down and I was medicated. So it was wonderful.
That's good.
And I haven't left the house since I got home. I have Rick's card. Oh, crap. I wonder where he just realized I went to the grocery store, and where did he just say he was going? He just told me he was going somewhere, and I have no idea.
I don't know.
But I have his card.
Hopefully he doesn't need his card.
I hope not either. I don't remember where he told me. Anyway, so yeah, I went to the grocery store and I went grocery shopping. Then other than that, but because my blood pressure was so high, and I do have a doctor's appointment on Wednesday, I know they're going to tell me that I have to watch what I'm eating, and which I need to anyways. But it's really hard to cook healthy for Rick because he likes chicken fried steak and whatever.
Yeah.
So
he likes meat and potatoes.
Wait till he sees what he's having this week. So I try to disguise it all as good. He's probably not going to be really happy about the stir fry. He thinks it's weird when I cook Chinese food at home, but it's like healthy stir fry. So we'll see.
Well, it's for your health, so he's going to have to like it.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
You have to get over it.
That's what I'm saying. He was giving me a hard time about it because he was like, "You got to stay healthy so you can keep up with me. It's my one rule. You got to stay healthy." And he always does say that, just to encourage, not in a mean way. And so he woke up today with an ear infection. I was like, slipping, aren't you? I'm going to need you to stay healthy to be with me, okay? Because you can't swim with bad ears.
Yeah, what you going
to do? And I do a lot of swimming. I can swim even with bad ears.
Oh, my gosh.
Bless his heart. Anyway, so that's the beginning of the Summer Saga, and we will have more for you next episode.
Stay tuned.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us. Maybe come back next week and bring a friend.
Yeah. And remember, there's always 3 sides to every story.
2 sides and the truth.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.